Hey guys, it's Boone. Yesterday, the previews for Magic Origins officially began. Some of the things that got leaked did turn out to be real, so, you know, that's fine. I'm going to start covering some of the stuff that got revealed yesterday. Typically the way this is going to work is I'm going to cover the previous, the next day what got revealed the previous day. I'm not going to reveal everything at once. I feel like, because there's a lot to cover from this first day, including stuff that had already been revealed. Alright, first of all, today I'm going to be talking about each of the new mechanics coming out. First of all, we have the transforming planeswalkers. These things start as a legendary creature, then at some point during the game they're going to be able to transform into their planeswalker side, and basically they get exiled, they come back as the planeswalker, and this allows them to come back with the loyalty counters. First we have the new Liliana. She costs 3, 2/3 with lifelink. Normally you'd get flying out of that, but you wouldn't normally get a zombie whenever something dies. Basically, when something dies, she'll transform immediately, and you'll get a zombie out of it. So that's pretty good. I like that. Her loyalty abilities, she starts at 3 loyalty, so that's fair for 3 mana. You know, if you have a way to kill something that turn, you're getting a 3 loyalty planeswalker for 3 mana. That tends to be pretty efficient. +2, everybody's discarding a card. That's fine. I believe Liliana the Veil does the same thing, so... And that's a +2, so, that's pretty efficient. Then you have the -X, which lets you revive a thing, get something back from your graveyard onto the battlefield. That can be pretty good. But it has to be non-legendary, that's the only catch. I'd say, this sort of goes into Reanimator strategies, potentially. After rotation, Abzan is going to have something new to work with on that front. Like, possibly, turn 1, make everybody ditch, turn 2, siege Rhino from the ditch that they've already gotten rid of, and makes everything a pain. Abzan could use it. I'm probably going to be using it in at least one of my commander decks, and I have a commander deck that tends to focus on creatures dying that I'm still kind of trying to build up properly, but the general idea is already in place. And one thing you could do is sack stuff with Ghoul Color Gisa or some other methods to trigger her, and then be able to rebot, and then be able to ditch stuff to go in your graveyard to reanimate by other means. They're a little bit simpler. Of course, then there's the -8. I feel like the commander deck I was talking about is probably just going to build up to this. Emblems are good. Emblems that make anything that dies on your side come back at the end of the turn. That's really good. That right there is if you've got a sack engine, you can just go okay, sack everything every turn. That's it. Kill everyone. So I'm going to cover a second of the planeswalkers today, and that would be Nissa. I'm not sure whether I have the correct pronunciation of the name or not. I probably don't. But knowing my luck with some of these pronunciations until they're officially pronounced. Nissa is to put it quite simply, she's Borderland Ranger, right out of the gate, except legendary, so, so basically when you're at 3 mana, she'll get you to 4, but you want to be at 7 lands in order to flip her. Once you play that 7th land, you flip her, which means she's essentially a 7 mana planeswalker. That makes me uncertain how I feel about these abilities. I mean, the +1, she starts at 3 loyalty too, which is not great. Which is not a great amount of loyalty for someone for her to start with, because you practically have to be at the point where you're paying 7 mana in order to use the planeswalker side. That's why I don't like it. But at the same time, Nissa does seem to play on a more of a long-term strategy. And again, considering how late in the game that you're going to be able to flip Nissa, that makes these abilities not as good. I feel like if it were when you play your 5th land, that would have been better. Maybe even your 6th land. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. It seems like it would have to be, okay, you have this creature out. Now if you can keep it on the battlefield, you're going to get a Planeswalker at that casting point and then get more cards to play. As it stands, Nissa is essentially a 7-drop. But other than, of course, the Borderland Ranger effect, which makes her worth running anyway, especially if you're running a deck that's kind of built on ramp. But, so her loyalty abilities. She's only got a +1, which sucks, but it doesn't really hurt you at all. Basically, it's reveal the top, it's a land, put it into play, kinda at the point where you're having 7-8. Do you really need to do that? Unless you're trying to cast Eldrazi, I don't think you need to do that. Or frickin' Karn or Ugin. And actually, I don't think you even need to do that with Ugin because you're already at 7 mana. You can just cast Ugin. But, yeah. Like, it doesn't seem necessary to have that. But either way, you're getting a card in your hand. So that's pretty good. The -2 makes a 4/4 that's legendary. A legendary token. I think I would like this ability more if it weren't for the fact that the token is legendary. It does give you some protection right out of the gate for what is now a 1 loyalty Planeswalker, but I don't know, it just seems weak. And then the -7 to untap 6 lands, turn them into, I believe it was... Well, you make them dudes. I'm pretty sure if I recall right. I didn't put it in my notes. I think there's 3 3s, or either 3 3s or 6 6s. Which, that's a good ultimate, but you gotta do a lot of work to get there. And by that point, you may as well be casting gigantic green spells. Either that or your opponent's already killed your Nissa because Nissa's giving you cards every turn. I think that's pretty much what Nissa is going to be used. It's kind of, you know, trying to keep the advantage that you already have. That's part of the reason I'm kind of iffy on it. So yeah, Nissa didn't really impress me that much. Maybe I'm wrong, because, you know, Worldwaker impressed me. This Nissa doesn't, and maybe there's a case where it should be impressing me, but it's just not. So the next mechanic is Renown, and they didn't really show any high rarity cards with this ability. Basically, the way Renown works is the first time that something deals combat damage to a player, you know, it gets a number of counters based on its Renown number, basically. And it becomes Renowned, which some cards interact. It's kind of like Monstrous, really. Except instead of being an activated ability, it is a triggered. So the card I've chosen to kind of represent this, they didn't really do anything of higher rarity. We have Rock's Maulers. 5 mana for 4/4 with Trample and Renown 2. I kind of like this because, you know, if your opponent chump blocks with something weak, you can go, okay, well, my guy's Renowned now. He's a 6/6 now. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty decent, at least in draft. I don't see this particular one getting constructed play, but there's certainly some availability for Renown to do a couple things. Alright, next you have Spell Mastery, and this is probably one of my favorite ones, because I've played like an instant sorcery based deck, I like to call it a spell slinging deck, because you're mostly slinging the spells, you're not keeping them on the board as much. And it kind of harkens back to old school Magic when that's what people would do. They would kind of sling the spells, not really care about keeping them on the board. They would be playing lots of instants and sorceries because they were the most powerful thing. So basically the way Spell Mastery works is, if you have at least 2 instants or sorceries in your graveyard, Spell Mastery is active. It's more of an ability word. Spell Mastery doesn't actually mean anything on the card, but it's an indicator that this card does a thing this way. The card, one of the cards that they showed is really good. Send to Sleep. It's 2 for an instant that taps 2 creatures. Already pretty good, you know. I would certainly play it in, like, Control or Tempo. And then you have the Spell Mastery, which makes it to where they don't untap. This is a good example of a Spell Mastery card that adds effects to an instant or sorcery. I'm not going to talk too heavily about Menace, mostly because it's just an older ability given a new keyword. I like the fact that we're going to see this ability more, because I think it's a little bit more intuitive than what it's really replacing, Intimidate. So, the ability is Menace, and it's that a creature can't be blocked unless at least 2 things block it. So that's pretty good. The example that they have, the main example that I saw was Bogart Brute. It's 3 for a 3/2 with Menace, and, you know, at that point in the game, you know, maybe they have 2 chumps, but you're still probably 2 for winning them, unless, of course, they're the Spell Mastery deck and played some kind of Dragon Fodder or some crap. So, you know the mechanic in Cons, the one where when you cast an instant or sorcery, the thing gets a buff for the turn? Yeah, that's back, and it's Evergreen. Prowess is a new Evergreen ability. It kind of works pretty well with Spell Mastery here. There was an example they showed that I'm probably going to talk about later, but Ringwarden Owl is a good card of this type. It's 5 for a 3/3 with flying and prowess. Again, I don't see it seeing Constructor Play or anything like that, don't get me wrong, but it's a pretty good draft card. You know, you play this near the top of your curve, and then when you're able to attack with it, you know, maybe you play the frickin' Spell Mastery card and tap their flyers down, so that you can get in with what is now a 4/4. You know, that's a pretty good chunk of damage right there, assuming you play nothing else, assuming you have no kind of bolts or anything like that, you know, no burn. Or if you're straight blue, you have no way to, like, bounce anything else that they have that might be a threat. You know. So, the last card I'm talking about was unveiled yesterday, but it wasn't really part of any mechanics reveals. That card was Languish. It is 4 for a sorcery. And it's -4/-4 to everything, and this was in a discussion about board wipes. This is a fairly decent, this is a good board wipe. It's kind of like, I'll be honest, I do feel like you're paying for the ability to kill more stuff in more ways than just 1 mana. See, in Theros we had Drown in Sorrow, and that is about to rotate out. This is probably going to end up replacing Drown in Sorrow in Standard. But Drown in Sorrow was a really good card, because it was -3/-3, all your opponent's stuff. This is -4/-4 to everybody's stuff, so your stuff gets to die too. And this gets past Indestructible as well, so that makes it an even better board wipe. So yeah, overall I like the card. I don't normally run the minus cards unless there's like some way to make them really be able to kill just about everything. But this kind of does kill just about everything. Also, they've been doing a really good job of hosing token strategies lately. Like, they have a lot of stuff that deals with tokens pretty frequently. They're probably concerned about that taking over since they have so many token producers and so much good stuff being done with tokens, and I guess I can understand that. Well, you guys, that's going to be it for this preview. Either tonight or tomorrow morning, I'm going to be having my my wrap-up of today's reveals. They haven't come out yet, so hopefully you guys will enjoy that. And until next time, this is your friendly neighborhood 3-1 Slayer, signing out. Bye!